Anyways,
yes, off
we are
topic.
finally starting this last episode for the last 3 episodes, 11, 12, and 13. So let's get started. Hi everyone, it's Stephanie.
This is Emily.
And today we are finally with our finale.
We have both of the books.
Yeah. So you guys been trying to... I'm sorry, but if you've been trying to hold this book, we've been hoarding them all. Like, she has a copy, I have
in
like
New
2
York.
copies.
Only in
New
New
York. I have like 2 copies. I might have a 3rd one coming in. I don't know why I did that. So episode 11 in the book, first of all, it's not even about Sherry in the series because her name is Jenny. I was kind of like, who is this Jenny person? And then as I read, I was like, wait, do you mean Sherry? Like, I don't know why the TV series changed that name. I thought that was really weird.
I guess, like, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, she could have easily been a Jenny as well, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, why did they change this name? Like, maybe the actresses didn't respond well to Jenny? I don't know. So chapter 11 is about her, whereas episode 11 is about Clay. And actually I thought about why they did that. Because Clay in the series has to be the last person to get it other than the final person, which is Mr. Porter. Because obviously if Sherry came after him, then he wouldn't have known that she had the tapes. And she had to tell him, like, oh, I hope you don't think I'm a terrible person because of what I did, etc., etc. So I guess that because of that choice, they made that choice of for a strategy. So makes sense in the series. But yeah, so like it didn't really make much. I feel like I kind of actually like that in the TV series versus in the book, because now the book he just has to pass it along to the next person, which is going to be Jenny. You know, as opposed to in the series, he can automatically just go up to Mr. Porter and be like, well, this is what happened, you know, like, and actually, I like the conclusion a lot better in the series as opposed to the book, so.
I actually understand the author's perspective, though, on doing that, though, because, if Clay had been the person who was handed off to Mr. Porter, then the author would feel like obligated. There would be no way out other than for him to focus on like the aftermath, the whole administration, the lawsuit, etc. And that wasn't something that he wanted to do.
And I think that's why the series was more than willing to do it, because they can continue season 2.
Yeah.
You know, which by the way, in the beginning I was kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But now that it actually finished, I can kind of see a season 2.
Yeah, me too. And especially since it's so relevant to today's issues in terms of like school bullying, school violence.
Right.
There's also, you know, an element of Tyler and his propensity for guns.
Yeah, and I was kind of worried about that. I thought something happened with him.
I'm pretty sure something will happen.
Yeah, so I feel like that kind of is a huge cliffhanger. Yeah. Just because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen with Alex as well. You don't know what's going to happen with Bryce.
Yeah,
you know, like these are all things that are huge cliffhangers in the series that now make sense for there to be a season 2.
Right, and I also am interested to see if they're going to structure the next few episodes kind of with tapes sizes as well, or like some other sort of like, I guess, digital like audio format. Okay. Just because that was one of the reasons why it's called 13 Reasons Why. Right. So I feel like that element of storytelling they'd have to really respect, but maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm just like projecting my own idea of what the next season will how it will be structured in some way, but I wouldn't really see it working out if they were to try to tell the story the same way, like, let's just say like Supergirl does, where like you're like there's no narrative, there's no like voiceover, because that wasn't the style in the first season, and it would seem kind of weird and kind of like a break for me personally if this time around there wasn't someone narrating it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then who would narrate it? Maybe
I
Clay.
feel like maybe Tyler.
Really?
Or yeah, maybe Clay.
Actually, maybe Alex.
Maybe Alex.
Because now he's the one who tried to commit suicide.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Like, but I feel like there has to be someone who narrates in the next one, and you have to like, and it's going to be a mystery about what happens to them, because I think that was the whole plot device that kind of carried me through this TV series as well as in the book, and I feel like that would be such a miss if they didn't do that again this time. Yeah. But of course on like different issues.
Right.
But yeah, I think in general though, like with the story about like Clay and Sherry flip-flopping, like, we didn't talk too much, though, about Sherry's side of the story.
Okay, so another thing I wanted to say is that...
Or Jenny, is
the fact that in the book, they didn't know the guy who got killed.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, the guy from school.
Yeah.
So I like how the series really put that guy from school to actually be someone who played an important role in Clay's life.
Yeah.
To make him more like, real, like, more...
wild.
Yeah, more like emotional too, just because someone is like a good friend of his, as opposed to in the book where he's like, yeah, just like guy from school. I hope she didn't know what happened to the guy from school, and I'm just like, oh yes, it was just some random guy that he knew or didn't really know that well. But yeah, I think because of that, it made the book seem like it was more like a third perspective, and not really into the whole story like the series did. So for episode number 12, the climax, literally.
Bryce.
Yeah, I guess that tape is actually for him, but because of what he did, they didn't he wasn't part of the list to receive the tapes, which I mean makes sense. But then in the series, he like found out, which I was like, you're so stupid. Like, why the fuck did you tell him? I was like, oh my god. And then he himself was kind of like, oh shit, like he was a little worried, but like we don't know what happened after he got worried. I think I read somewhere online that someone said that he like ran off or got out of town, and I'm like, that didn't really show that in the series, unless there was like a final thing at the really end that I completely missed. I don't know. Sometimes how after the credits there'll be like a little like 2-second segment. I don't know.
I mean, in terms of the series, wasn't it like Clay who told him that there were tapes? Right?
Bryce?
Yeah.
No, it was Justin. Justin was like talking to Bryce, because Bryce was like, yeah, how the hell did Clay know about Hannah anyway? Like,
oh, right, now I remember.
Yeah, so and Justin was like, yeah, well there's tapes, and like that's why Hannah knows, because she was actually in the room with you when you basically raped Jessica. And he was like, what? And I was just like, what an idiot. You don't ever tell the suspect that you know. Episode 12 was really about Bryce, and then it was also kind of interesting to see kind of why in the book she was like, you guys, I want to be clear, I did not say no. I did not protest this, etc., etc. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, if you didn't say no, then technically it's not rape, right?
No, it is. It is.
Because isn't the whole thing about rape is like, if she doesn't want it?
She didn't.
But she never said no. She didn't say anything. She just let it happen. She didn't even protest. Which means, she didn't even do anything to stop it.
So,
like in the series, she at least was like, no, Bryce, stop it. Like, don't get closer to me. She actually vocalized it. In the book, she was literally just like, oh, let me be clear, guys. I did not say no. I just turned my head around and didn't look at him.
I think the thing was that...
And she even said, like, I wanted this to happen because I want him to help me let myself go. So in the book, I would feel like that's not really rape then. Because she was using him and she actually wanted it to happen. Right? Like, I even find the exact quote for you.
No. I'm not making these faces because I know you. I remember that part too. But I had a really different take on it than you did.
Okay, what was your take on it?
For me, I wasn't as interested, I guess, in reading word for word what she was saying.
Okay.
Because I felt like after that was like, how do I describe this? It's kind of like, it's like hindsight. That's what you think I thought. But at the time, like, it's kind of like you think you have the right memory for something.
Yeah.
But then, like, a day or two later, you already missed out on most of, like, the details. Like, what you remember is not actually what was actually happening, like, days ago.
Yeah,
and I feel like for her, when she got down to making the tapes, she simply was rationalizing in a very warped way why she should kill herself. And, like, when you're in that sort of, like, state, that depressed state, you're able to, like, take on anything negative and be like, no, yeah, of course I wanted it. That's exactly why, like, I should have died.
Okay.
And I feel like she definitely, at that point, like, she could be, this sounds so bad, but, like, she could basically use the insanity clause if she was, like, murdering someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be, like, the sort of mindset I felt like she was kind of in, because she
Okay.
wasn't herself anymore. She was already kind of like in this sort of like
Zone that
zone that was like beyond beyond sane.
Okay.
Because she clearly was like saying like, yeah, like I just made like I made sure that this would happen to me, and I'll be like, well, why are you self-blaming? Like that makes no sense. Like anyone who is somewhat self-respecting and isn't that vulnerable would have at least been like, what was like, no, even if I hadn't like said anything, even if like my like maybe I didn't explicitly be like, oh no, I'm gonna hit you, right? Because Bryce is huge, like,
yeah, but no, it's not even whether or not she really said anything. She literally just turned her head and let it happen.
Yeah, but again, the tapes were made days after. So true. Like for me, I just have a dose of like doubt that like that's actually what she felt at the time. I felt like at that point it just simply was a period to a very, very long
She was
sentence.
just like, she probably just gave up, to be honest.
I feel like in general, whatever happened to her was legally, you can never really call it rape.
Yeah, in the book.
Yeah.
In the movie, completely rape, for sure. Yeah,
but like what happened emotionally, I think was pretty much the same things. Yeah. I feel like it was trauma. She definitely was traumatized by it. She was traumatized the first time by when he did it to someone else, and she was double traumatized when it happened to her. And I think though, like that's like why this book in itself is kind of brilliant in its own way, because it really does it dives deeper into like how messy sometimes things really are. So in terms of our discussion about consent, right? I definitely would say after rereading that section again, I'm still up to for my own sake. Like I think that in general she was kind of disassociated with herself by the time she was on the tapes. Yeah. And there was definitely like evidence, because this is also like really tough to be logic about, because it is only one person's perspective. So we weren't actually at the event, but I did remember that now that Courtney walked away. Yeah. And I feel like,
but from Courtney's side, I'd be like, if it was me, I'd be like, oh, they're getting it on, I'd walk away too.
Yeah, in a weird way.
You know, because I'm not going to just sit there and be like, let me just voyeur and watch you guys. Like, that's really weird. But so like, Courtney, I like don't blame at all. I feel like because she didn't say no in the book. She didn't even protest at all. She's closing her eyes and just letting it happen, you know? And then Courtney just saw this and was like, oh, I guess they're getting it on. Let me just give them some privacy. So, like, for me, Courtney, I was just like, you know, whatever. But that's also another discrepancy between the series, because in the series, it was at Bryce's house, at his hot tub, as opposed to the book where it was at Courtney's house. And then, so she only walked 2 houses away, as opposed to that night in the series where she was just wandering around. She had to, like, just let things out and just wanted to just get fresh air. And she walked, like, to many different neighborhoods before she came to Bryce's place. So I thought that was a huge discrepancy, and also it wasn't even Courtney, it was Jessica in the book, in the series. So
okay, so my take on it slightly different now, just because I realized that yes, I would agree with you. What happened to her in the book, at least, was not considered like strictly rape.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's not rape.
It's worse than that, because of the fact that throughout the entire book, everyone has tried to lay claim on her, and she basically said it too. She was like, let's see, it's like, not once had I given in to the reputation you've all set for me. Not once. Even though sometimes it was hard, even though sometimes I found myself attracted to someone who only wanted to get with me because of what they heard, but I always said no to those people, always, until Bryce. So basically I feel that this book actually captures the reality of when, like, I guess, like, we can only really speak of, like, females at this point, but, like, when someone sort of, like, basically an entire, like, society, right? Like, mini society decides on one role for them, how often, like, you can fight against it until, like, sometimes you just, like, give in, because it's so exhausting to be anything else other than, like, this label that someone else has claimed on you. And it kind of...
So that's why I said, I feel like that's why I said before, like, I don't think this is considered rape. It just seemed like she just gave up.
Yeah, which is worse,
you know,
to be honest.
So, but I'm talking about the legalities of rape, whether or not he raped her or not. So for me, I feel like he didn't rape her in the book, but he did in the series.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I would definitely say that that's true. But I'm saying I think what happened to her in the book was worse, just because it clearly was the book Hannah had a lot less of a will than the series Hannah, because she didn't really fight it at the end. She was so exhausted by like what everyone else was pressuring on her. She didn't have the willpower anymore to be herself, like stand up for herself. And therefore, that's why something so dramatic happened to her.
But then she did have the willpower to stand up, because in the last, that brings it to episode 13, or tape 13, when she said, you know what, let me give life one more chance. And this time she decided to go to an adult and ask for help. And this brings us to Mr. Porter.
I guess. I mean, I feel like giving life one more chance is pretty much her ultimatum of being like, life is going to disappoint me again, and therefore I'm just going to find one more excuse. I definitely would say that he is partially to be blamed, but only because of how, like, he's basically there to portray how very unsupportive
the school is.
Schools generally are of people who are struggling, like teenagers who are struggling so much with issues that are not commonplace.
Yeah. And like the one thing that really pissed me off was the fact that he, throughout the series, you just see in the TV, by the way, you see him just going like, oh, I didn't know how we could have helped her more, like I didn't know she was dealing with this problem. But the fact that he did know, because she went to him, right? Like he was basically denying knowing anything about her struggles the entire series. So I think that pissed me off more, actually.
I think in general, though, like for Mr. Porter, he deals with like troubled teens quite a lot. So I feel like the fact that he may have forgotten that Hannah made that like trip to his office.
No, but that's the thing. I think she scheduled it with him, so it's on his calendar. Because that's why, like, in the series, he was just like, oh, yes, I'm so glad you made an appointment with me, like, you know, like, you set this up, blah, blah, blah. So well, technically, in theory, it should have been his calendar, so he should have remembered it.
Okay, in that case, then it still works in favor in my, like, whole idea of, like, the fact that these guys in Hannah's life, none of them seem to really understand what it means to be her.
Yeah,
because he basically shrugged off all of her pain as like, oh, it's something you can just deal with because you're the female, you should be able to deal with this.
Yeah, and I also didn't like how in the series he was just like, I also didn't like how in the series he kind of put the blame on her.
Yeah, she's victim blaming. That's the whole thing.
But that's not in the book though. Not in the book is fine, whatever. In the series, I thought he was totally just being like, well, did you do something to like kind of like allow this guy to come over? You know, like, were you doing drugs? Were you drinking? You know, like, which actually pissed me off a lot, because I was just like, really, this girl's telling you that something happened, and the first thing you say is, did you do something wrong?
I think in general the series was really well developed.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there were so many angles to it, and you can clearly tell that this book, as great as it is definitely written for teenagers.
Yeah.
While the show was definitely made with a more mature audience in mind.
Right.
Like you can definitely like the show does not mice on Mince. I keep saying that.
You said it wrong last time too.
Yeah, Mince on the fact that adults play just as much of a role in the decision making of like how all this stuff works when tragedy happens, and that like Hannah's decision wasn't like was justified in some ways, but it was totally unjustified in terms of her parents. Like they really emphasized that like suicide does this to your parents, you guys. Like don't try to select that as your option when your parents are clearly going to be devastated, and like everyone else around you is going to be so freaking confused.
Yeah.
And even the people who deserve to be like punished, like sometimes justice eludes just because of the fact that you didn't manage to like bring it out at the right time. You know, so it definitely has all these angles to it, and it works. In terms of our finale, in terms of answering the book versus the movie, we had a lot of fun with this. Clearly, we've found a lot of good differences between the book and the show. But yeah, we're really excited to watch season 2.
And if when we watch it, we'll definitely do a video on here as well. So
yeah, maybe not as long as this one, but
oh yeah, because there's no book anymore. We'll just do it.
But no, thank you, Jay Asher for writing this sick book, and for Selena Gomez for making the show.
Yes, and that's it for today.
All right, see you
Thank you
guys. Bye.